Screen Teamers, we are back, and we've got a special treat for you. If you love Halloween movies, if you like scary movies, we've got 3 for you tonight here on the Screen Team, and we're being joined by Guy. And Guy, you love all kinds of movies,
yes,
which we know, but you love horror films, right?
Yes. The most ironic thing is people think horror fans are just limited to horror. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, though, horror fans love all genres. They just happen to love horror more. And
right. I
fit into that category. I love horror, especially good horror, and that's hard to find nowadays. But
that's true.
Especially in the realm of PG horror movies and horror films being released in August and February, because that's when you need them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a trying time for horror fans over the past few years, but I still have my tried and trues, my Halloween go-tos, and
speaking of Halloween go-tos,
those are three of them that we're talking about these are some of my Halloween go-tos always.
We're going to be doing New Nightmare a little bit later on in the show, also Hellraiser, but the first one is the movie called Halloween. We're talking about the original back from the late 1970s, the John Carpenter version, and
the grandfather of all the great slasher films nowadays.
Yeah, why is this one always considered in the top 5 or 10 movies of horror genre?
Well, because it was one of the ones that really set the tone. I mean, you had Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, on just a level of shock value with violence was on par with none.
Right.
But the psychological element that was put into Halloween, I mean, John Carpenter did this for, roughly the price of a ham sandwich and a pack of chewing gum. It was
crazy.
So low budget.
Yeah.
So low budget that I've even heard stories of some of the actual cast working as grips and striking the sets and moving lights, which is nowadays unheard of, but back in the days of guerrilla filming, John Carpenter, John Waters, and even early Wes Craven, that was very common of the time because horror movies were made on the cheap. They were put out quickly, but they weren't regarded as anything beyond just some cheap thrill entertainment. Halloween, at least in my opinion, was the one that really kind of broke the mold and said, well, we can also, put a really engaging story that makes people really interested in what's going on. Mm-hmm. We can create a killer that is completely unique because, and I have such issues with the Rob Zombie remake, because they gave him a backstory of the, redneck, backwoods, depressing. In the original, when you saw Michael Myers kill his sister for the very first time in the beginning of the movie, it was in middle suburbia. It was a upper middle class white neighborhood, which made it kind of fearful that it could be anybody.
Right. Yeah.
It's not, the wholly depressing, what everybody thinks of as what breeds these type of killers in these kind of movies, which is always, abusive family or whatever. This was a very affluent neighborhood, very upper middle class family. They just happened to have a child who was born with the wrong kind of wiring. And that was interesting. Having your main character be not only a teenage girl who survives, at that time was unheard of, but also a middle-aged man who is a therapist. But you couldn't have gotten anybody better than Donald Pleasance to play him.
He so good.
He literally, I think that man could read the phone book and it be engaging. So
you talk about the budget, and the budget was so low that some of the cast members had to, buy their own, wardrobe because they didn't have any wardrobe department or anything like that. But one of the most iconic things is the mask that Michael Myers wears. They didn't have the budget to make this elaborate thing.
Nope.
Why don't you tell us about the mask?
What they did is they actually went to a discount Halloween store and bought this really, really cheap Star Trek Captain Kirk mask. They cut the eye holes a little bit bigger and spray painted it white and shaved the sides of the hair. And there you have Michael Myers' iconic mask. It's William Shatner, which, given some stories I've heard, Shatner could be frightening in and of himself. But it's become the stuff of horror legends of taking the most innocuous thing and making iconography out of it. Because what is his trademark weapon? He just grabs kitchen knives. He doesn't have like the chains of Pinhead or the blades of Freddy or the machete of Jason. It's just kitchen knives. I mean, he doesn't have anything iconic in terms of weaponry, but the mask. And it's that stoic, still face. Like I've said before with Jason, it's a blank canvas that you can project pretty much any of your horror ideas onto, what you're afraid of, and he becomes the embodiment of it. And I think that in and of itself has really made for an absolute classic modern movie monster.
Let me ask you something really quick, kind of put you on a different direction.
Okay.
Maybe not a different direction, but I'm curious because you like makeup. You do you do your own you have your own makeup effects thing.
Yes.
When you see people doing things so simple as that, does that give you when you're creating your own pieces of artwork, or do you kind of go in the I need to be more simple, or are you more of a
I do either. And for me personally, it's you can never truly guess what is gonna catch on. You can't. They've tried it over and over with various things, and you just can't guess what's gonna catch.
Yeah.
So it really is just the right thing at the right time. When I did a kind of fantasy horror-ish makeup for Wishmaker, when I did the Wishmaker himself, which was, as it was described to me when I had gotten the call sheets and the breakdowns, was like a 10,000-year-old hobgoblin. There's no easy way to do that.
Right.
So I ended up having to do a massive makeup for that. But at the same time, I've done makeups where there was hardly anything on the face, and it was more iconography like what you put on their head or their body. Think about Pyramid Head from the Resident Evil games. What did he have? He had a big pyramid-shaped box on his head. Do you see what he looks like? No. But he's a big brutish man in that look with that big knife that he carries.
Yeah.
That right there just is an evocative image. So it really is. Funny side note about Halloween. John Carpenter honestly didn't want the focus to be Michael Myers for multiple films.
Oh, what did he want?
Well, he originally wanted it to be an anthology series, just all based around the theme of Halloween. The first two were going to involve Michael Myers. That's why Halloween 3 Season of the Witch has nothing to do with Michael Myers, but it still is Halloween in the theme of what it's going. When they realized that Michael Myers was the franchise, they went back to it, but that originally was never the intention of John Carpenter. He originally wanted the first two to stand alone for Michael Myers, and then every one after that just be kind of an anthology.
Very good. We talked about iconic people in this thing. Michael Myers is definitely it, but so is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, absolutely. One of the original
Scream Queens.
She's actually the daughter of the original Scream Queen.
Yeah.
Janet Leigh from Psycho. And Jamie Lee Curtis, this was what made her. Her name became synonymous with Scream Queens at that particular moment in time, and she's since gone on to, do some great stuff, and now she has that comedy series Scream Queens back on TV. But I appreciate the fact that John Carpenter wanted to go away from tradition, which is you still had your classic damsel in distress that had to be rescued, but she still proved some strength. The strong damsel wasn't really fully realized until Nightmare on Elm Street, but which we'll get into in a little bit. But as of this, usually if the female gets away, she's scarred for life, and she's had to be rescued by somebody else and whatever.
Yeah.
But this is the first time where she shows some strength. It kind of breaks away from the form. It still adheres to some of the greatest horror cliches of all time. It's what makes them cliches, but she really did break away. And I personally think Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in this was far and away the absolute best. I mean, even better than Donald Pleasance. And as much as I love Donald Pleasance's Loomis in this, and he's fantastic, just what Jamie Lee Curtis did in the emotional range that she went through the course of, I believe it was 20 days of filming total. I mean, less than 3 weeks of filming. She went through this massive range of emotion, and it was brilliantly done. So I appreciate it.
We have Michael Myers. We've got Jamie Lee Curtis. We've also got the music, the score of this movie, which is...
The most iconic theme of all time is the theme from Halloween. Actually, that's the ringtone on my phone. So, well, it's getting to be that time of year. I always horror up my phone.
Yeah.
So my text message is Freddy's Laugh. My ringtone is the Halloween theme, and then my wallpaper is Jason Voorhees. So, yeah, I go there.
So this movie just has all components to freak you out, man.
It's one of those that if you're watching this for the first time and you've never heard that music before, and you start hearing the strains of the Halloween theme, and when you first hear it, really prevalent in the movie is when he's walking through Haddonfield, Illinois. You see him following Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's from his perspective, and he has already put on the mask, and all you hear is that labored breathing inside that latex mask. It is quite possibly one of the creepiest. It makes you feel uncomfortable, almost like you're a stalker.
Yeah.
It's very well done, and I'm a tribute to John Carpenter for scoring the perfect theme for the perfect film.
Stupid question for you. Which one's the best in the series, the Halloween series?
The first two, obviously.
There you go. The movie's called Halloween, and you can find it on DVD. Coming up after the break, we're going to review one of Guy's favorites. It's called Hellraiser. It's next on KWOC.